Hi, my name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and privilege to serve you as your minister. And we are now coming to you with another one of our From Your Minister Junior editions where we tell a story and we have a bit of a mailbag. And Aaliyah's coming in with a bucket of water. So, this is one of my oldest and favorite stories, which begins, once upon a time, there was a ferret who was a little bit nervous because he was starting a new school and he didn't know anybody at the new school. And on the very first day, he was seated at a table with 3 other animals who seemed to be friends. And one was a lobster, one was a rhinoceros, and one was a giraffe. And they started chatting and hanging out and they became friendly. And one of the rhinoceros started talking about how, I'm just not bendy at all. Sometimes I have an itch on my back leg and I have to find something to rub up against. I can't reach around and scratch it. And the giraffe said, I know what you're saying. I'm also not bendy at all. And tall, long neck, and if I have anything to itch, it's a whole production. And the lobster started snapping all of its claws and he said, I know. I can bend one direction and that's it. It's tough stuff. And then they all turned to the ferret. And now ferrets are incredibly bendy. They can bend in almost any direction. They're so entirely flexible. But the ferret wanted to be friends with all of these new animals that he was getting to know. And he was afraid that they wouldn't like him how he was. And so he tensed up every single muscle along his back and he said, I know what you guys are saying. I'm not bendy at all either. And he kept up this charade for days and days and days, and he was becoming friends with the rhinoceros, the lobster, and the giraffe, and he was looking forward to hanging out with them, and they were becoming close, but all the time he had this little secret gnawing away inside of him. Now, at the same time, there was a bit of an election going on in the school, and there was a Pomeranian, one of these little fluffy dogs. Some of them are very sweet. This one was not very sweet. She wanted to rule the school with an iron grip. She wanted all of the animals to be exactly the same, and so she was going to institute a very special sweater that every single animal had to wear a version of. That was her big platform. And she was running, and she knew that almost all of the other animals were really only friends with other animals of the same kind, except for this one group. The lobster, the rhinoceros, now the ferret, and the giraffe. And so on election day, she asked for them to help her bring down a big bin of buttons to pass out. And even though they weren't close with the Pomeranian, they thought they would give her a hand. And she said, that's just right over in there. And all of them walked into this dark room. And she said, right up on the top there. And as soon as they were all in, she slammed the door behind them and locked them in the room. And all of the animals were very sad because they were stuck in this room and they were a little bit claustrophobic. And the rhinoceros said, I'll just knock the door down, and he smashed into it, but sure enough, it was very sturdy and he couldn't break it down. And the giraffe tried reaching up through the skylight and reaching up through the ceiling tiles, and nothing there either. And then almost at the exact same moment, they all looked down and they saw that there was this big utility sink with a twisty tube drain going out it. And the ferret saw it, and it was wider than the ferret's body, and the ferret knew that he could sneak through and twist his body around and get out the drain. And he looked at his friends and he said, guys, I have something to tell you. I'm actually super bendy, the ferret said. And the other animals looked at him and said, why wouldn't you tell us this? And he said, I just wanted you guys to like me. And they said, we like you. We're so glad that you're here and that you're a part of our little group. But yeah, we like you just the way you are. And the ferret said, all right, well, I'm going to set us free. And the rhinoceros popped out the drain guard, and sure enough, the ferret slinked down and twisted his body around, and he snuck all the way out the drain and all the way out through the sewer and back up in through and opened up the door. And so all of the friends came bounding down just while the Pomeranian was in the middle of her speech, and they burst into the auditorium where the election was going on, and they said, stop! And all the animals' heads turned at the same moment, And they told the story about how she tried to lock them up, about how she was trying to say that only certain kinds of folks can love each other, only certain kinds of folks can be friends. And they said it wasn't true, and that they were good friends, and they were very different, and that they loved each other. And sure enough, the Pomeranian didn't win the election. There was a whole new era came to be in the school. And those 4 friends, from then on, knew that they loved each other exactly as they were, in their truest, deepest selves. And we tell you that story today especially because there was a very, very important decision just came out through the Supreme Court, which defends the rights of transgender and LGBTQ folks. And it's a very exciting moment because all people, no matter what, cannot be discriminated against in their jobs and in their workplaces. And this has been something that we Unitarian Universalists have fought for a long time. We say it in the very beginning of our principles, the inherent worth and dignity of all people. And no matter what, no matter where, when that is threatened, we organize and we rise up, because just like the ferret and the rhinoceros and the giraffe, each and every one of you is beautiful and is worthy and is good exactly as you are. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you. And this is our great job all together. Parents and kids, everyone at First Church, our job is to become the truest, deepest, most authentic version of ourselves. No matter who you love, no matter who you are, deep down, you are a gift and a blessing to the world exactly as you are. So now, I believe it's time. What is it time for, Aaliyah? Do you remember? What is it time for? I think it's time for Aaliyah mailbag. Aaliyah mailbag. Aaliyah mailbag. Rainbow Sword Aaliyah mailbag with Jack.
Medieval duct tape.
Mailbag. Nice. So, what do we have in the mailbag today, Jack?
Kate in Belmont asks about spirit. It was a Native American religion, especially rabbit spirit.
So, Kate in Belmont asks about spirit animals in Native American religion, and especially rabbit spirit animals. And this is because I believe the story goes they found some baby rabbits in their yard. And there's a fascinating history to spirit animals and lots of interesting stuff about it. But one of the interesting things especially is that some of our kind of modern conversation around spirit animals is as if like we have a spirit animal ourselves. But in the traditional cultures, they actually say that the spirit animals sort of show up to you in moments of need and that they are there to help protect you. And so, in particular, the rabbits had a lot to tell us about this moment. I just wrote a couple of the things down. So the rabbits sort of symbolize and speak to us of creativity, of motion, of vigilance, of joy, living by our wits, and moving through fear, which seems very relevant and helpful nowadays. So please do keep the mailbag questions coming, and let me know, even tell me about any animals that you especially love, any spirit animals. And yeah, thank you so much. From all of us, we continue to be deeply grateful for all of you, and know that you're held and that you're loved. Know that all of us are here for you and will continue to be here for you as the summer rolls on. And yeah, we're so grateful for each and every one of you. All right, lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.